Today our lecture is on bioremediation. Bioremediation is a part of environmental biotechnology. I earlier told you in different classes what is environmental biotechnology. Environmental biotechnology is the application of biotechnology for solving the environmental problems both in environment or in man-made ecosystems. Environmental biotechnology deals with decontamination of environment pollutants, and these pollutants may be like herbicide, pesticides, insecticide, petrochemical and heavy metals, etc. Next. In this lecture, I will cover different topics. Number 1, introduction of bioremediation. Introduction of bioremediation. This will be the first topic of my lecture. And second one is the factor of bioremediation. Factors affecting and third one is what's microbes used in bioremediation. And lastly, fourth one is advantages, disadvantages and application. I will cover lastly application of bioremediation. Basically, different techniques of environmental biotechnology, decontamination of the pollutants. They are the names of number 1, bioremediation, biosensor, bioindicator and pollution prevention. The first one is bioremediation. Now, what is bioremediation? Bioremediation is a practice in which microbiological process used to degrade or transform the contaminant to less toxic or non-toxic forms. The decontamination of the soil and water from the pollutant using microorganism is known as bioremediation. Basically, bioremediation term introduced and reported by George M. Robinson firstly. Now, there are different types of the process considering in bioremediation. Number 1, physically removal of the contamination. Second one is separation of the contamination from the medium. Third one is degradation, and last one is immobilization, in which I will cover. Bioremediation includes different types of treatment like wastewater treatment, soil bioremediation, solid waste bioremediation, bioremediation of gaseous stream and biodegradation of hydrocarbons. They are the factors affecting the bioremediation like microorganism, environment and contaminant. Factor elements: environment, environmental factors, contaminant, and last is microorganism. Which type of microorganism used in bioremediation? Environmental factors may be temperature, pressure, pH or different types of nutrients. It include in environment factor, and these affect the bioremediation process most effectively. Second one is contaminant type. These contaminants may be biodegradable, degradable or non-degradable. Non-degradable means like the DDT. These are banned in India also. And different types of microorganisms which are most important part of bioremediation, because bioremediation is an application of microorganism to decontaminate the pollutants present in soil and water. Different types of microorganisms. The first one, we will characterize the microorganism in 3 categories: anaerobic, aerobic and methanotropes, and also in fungi. First one is aerobic microorganism. Aerobic microorganism. Aerobic microorganisms are those microorganisms which grow in the presence of oxygen like Pseudomonas, Rhodococcus, Mycobacterium, etc. They are used to degrade the pesticide and hydrocarbons like alkanes and polyaromatics. They are able to use the contaminate to soil sources as a carbon and energy source. Second one is methanotropes. Methanotropes, these are also aerobic bacteria, but they utilizes the methane for carbon and energy sources. Mostly methanotropes bacteria used in bioremediation is monooxygenase. And the third one is anaerobic bacteria, those bacteria which grow in absence of oxygen, but they are not frequently used in bioremediation as aerobic bacteria. And last one is the fungi. They are able to degrade or diverse range of persistent or toxic environment pollutants. So I told you different types of contaminants present in soil or water. They may be biodegradable. Biodegradable like petroleum products, gas, diesel, fuel oils, and crude oil component like benzene, toluene, xylene, naphthalene, and some pesticides are also characterized in biodegradable. Second one is partially degradable or persistent, means TEE, trichloroethane treated to groundwater, PCE, perchloroethane, which is used to dry the cleaning solvent, and last one is non-degradable like uranium, mercury, or DDT. Now comes to the bioremediation strategy. There are the two types of bioremediation strategy. Number one is in situ bioremediation. In situ bioremediation, and second one is ex situ. Ex situ bioremediation. In situ bioremediation further classified into two types: intrinsic bioremediation and engineered. Intrinsic and engineered. And ex situ also characterized into engineered bioremediation. Engineered bioremediation, and this is further classified ex situ in subclassification of engineered bioremediation. This is further classified into three categories. Number one is solid phase. Solid phase. Second one is liquid phase, and the third one is vapor phase. Now come to what is in situ bioremediation. In situ bioremediation is when the contamination site is cleaned up exactly where it occurred. There is no need to excavation or removal of the soil or water in order to accomplish remediation. In situ bioremediation involves supply of oxygen and nutrient by circulating aqueous solutions through contaminated soils to stimulate naturally occurring bacteria to degrade organic contaminant. It can be used for soil and groundwater, and it is the most commonly used type of bioremediation because it is cheapest and most efficient, so it is generally better to use. There are some factors which affect the intrinsic bioremediation. These may be moisture in soil, pH, temperature, soil nutrients, presence of acceptable like NO3, SO4, etc., and toxic concentration. There are different types of in situ, like engineered or in situ. Engineered means internal changes. Internal changes bioremediation. Intrinsic bioremediation is a bioremediation under natural condition, means intrinsic bioremediation reduces microorganisms already present in the environment to biodegrade harmful contaminant. There is no human intervention involved in this type of bioremediation, and since it is the cheapest means of bioremediation available, it is the most commonly used. When intrinsic bioremediation is not feasible, scientists turn to next to the engineered bioremediation. Like engineered. The second one is engineered bioremediation. What is engineered bioremediation? This is the second approach, involves the introduction of the certain microorganism to the site of contamination. When the site conditions are not suitable, engineered systems have to be introduced to that particular site. Engineered in situ bioremediation accelerates the degradation process by enhancing the physical conditions to encourage the growth of microorganisms like electron, oxygen acceptor, and nutrient nitrogen, phosphorus promote the microbial growth. In situ bioremediation are the different types like bioventing. It is a step involving in situ engineered bioremediation. Bioventing involves supply air and nutrient through the wells to the contaminated soil to stimulate the indigenous bacteria. And second one is biosparging. Biosparging involves the injection of air under the pressure below the water table to increase the groundwater oxygen concentration and enhance the rate of biological degradation of contaminants by naturally occurring bacteria. So third one is bioaugmentation. It is an important process like bioremediation. It involves the practice of adding specialized microbes on their enzymes, preparation to polluted sites to accumulate transformation or stabilization of specific pollutants. Now come to the ex situ bioremediation. Ex situ bioremediation, the solid phase ex situ bioremediation. First one is composting. Very important process. Composting. Composting is a technique that involves combining contaminated soil with organic compounds such as agriculture waste. You can see the presence of three organic materials support the development of a rich microbial population and elevated temperature characteristic of the composting. Suppose there is a brown layer, green manure, brown layer may be wood plus green manure, byproduct of plants, plus macroorganism like fungi and microorganism plus microorganism. These all played a very important role in the process of composting. Second one is farming. It is also very important process in ex situ bioremediation. Biofarming operation. Biofarming is a simple technique in which contaminated soil is excavated and spread over a prepared bed and periodically tilled until the pollutants are degraded. The practice is limited to the treatment of or superficially 10 to 35 centimeter of the soil. And the last one, the continuation of the ex situ bioremediation is biopile system. Biopile system is a hybrid of land farming and composting. Essentially, engineered cells are constructed as accelerated compost piles, typically used for the treatment of surface contaminations with the petroleum hydrocarbons. They are referred as version of land farming and tend to control the physical losses of the contaminants by leaching and volatilizations. Biofiles provide a favorable environment for indigenous aerobic and microorganisms. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of bioremediation? Now, what are the advantages? Bioremediation is useful for the complete destruction of a wide variety of contaminants instead of transferring contaminants from one environment medium to another medium. It is very important and it can often be carried out on the side, often without causing a major destruction of normal activities. It is also less expensive than other technologies that are used earlier before bioremediation techniques develop and that are used for clean up the hazardous waste. Disadvantages of bioremediation: it is a very limited to those compounds that are biodegradable, means it is limited to degrade the non-biodegradable components. Some concerns that are product of biodegradation may be persistent or toxic than the parent compounds. It also take longer time than other treatment options such as excavation and removal of soils or incinerations. Now come to the application of bioremediation. It is potentially the least harmful method because it is naturally occurring organism and preserve the environment in a more natural state. It is used to degrade highly toxic metals, chemicals, pollutants from the environment. Thank you.